All right, prayers are here, whoever wants them. It might be Tenzin. Oh, it's the back door that way. She's taking them out. Yeah. Let me know, Darren, when we're on. Salud. L'chaim. Do it the right way. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States. We're so global here. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchab Tardu Ling, a Buddhist meditation and study center, under the direction of Chabje Ling Rinpoche and also under the co-direction of Venerable Thupten Lunduk Geshe Nikki Vreeland, Kenser Nikki Vreeland. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma. Specifically, we're doing two things tonight. Excerpts from His Holiness Universe in a Single Atom, as we did last night, and continuing with our secular ethics program, Beyond Religion. What's beyond religion? We'll let you know. So the prayers we say are all on the website. In the FAQ section, scroll down to prayers. If there's anyone who has passed away recently here or wherever, which you want us to remember, put their names in the chat box now, because there is a delay at the end. And we'll pray for them when we do the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels at the end of the class. So we'll start right away with prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West, for all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them. May all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Para Sam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva, mahasattva, Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family. Profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering and the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. Anyone who wants a line-by-line, word-by-word explanation of the Heart Sutra, this Professor Donald Lopez's book, The Heart Sutra Explained. I think it's in 2 volumes, but it's very good. It goes through why know this, know that.
Okay.
This is how Bodhisattva's supposed to be. All that little stuff.
Yeah.
He's a good one. He's a nice guy too.
The Heart Sutra Explained.
Explained by Professor Donald Lopez. Maybe there's one upstairs, maybe
Okay.
not.
I might want to
Carol, good evening.
listen to that.
Welcome to our humble abode. Generating bodhicitta. This is the refuge and bodhisattva vow. I have Rudy's nectar in the fridge, so that'll calm him down. It's a dessert. It's not anything suspicious.
The thing he fell in love with, he's smitten with.
He's smitten, yes. These verses, generating bodhicitta, we recite 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And there's a lot to dispel. Last night I introduced a chapter from this book called The Universe in a Single Atom, because His Holiness in an earlier chapter in Beyond Religion mentioned it, sort of hinted, why don't you look into it. I heard him, and he woke me up. Anyway, this was in, I think, 05 something. It's an earlier book, but it's somewhat like the convergence of science and philosophy and Buddhism, spirituality, whatever you want. It's very funny because the title of it is from the Avatamsaka Sutra, sometimes called in the Chinese translations the Flower Ornament Sutra. It's a big phone book size thing, and they don't have phone books anymore. Boy, am I dating myself. Well, nobody else goes out. So this is something to think about, though. In each atom of the realms of the universe, there exist vast oceans of world systems. That's the quote. In each atom of the realms of the universe, there exist vast oceans of world systems. You could take that as a koan for life, but how does it fit? The first thing everybody thinks. With this kind of thinking, yes, you would think that way. Something else is going around, so you have to turn your mind into maybe you know everything and anything is reflecting everything. I don't know. I'm speculating. So this chapter we're doing is, and here it is. I'll repeat what I did last night. This is called a question of consciousness. What consciousness underneath the mind, the mind that we know as the mind is this and that. I'll go here. Now I feel shit. Oh, I feel better. No, that's the surface, the waves on the top of the ocean. Not separate from the ocean, but deep, deep, deep. There's more. So you could use that metaphor to get you around. So the question, I'll just skim through what I already did. Let me put out my phone so I just do a half hour of this and not overdo it. This is on page, by the way, if you've got a scorecard, page 119. The joy of meeting someone you love, the sadness of losing a close friend, the richness of a vivid dream, the serenity of a walk through a garden on a spring day, the total absorption of a deep meditative state. These things and others like them constitute the reality of our experience of consciousness. Using that word. Okay? Regardless of the content of any one of these experiences, no one in his or her right mind would doubt their reality. Any experience of consciousness, from the most mundane to the most elevated, has a certain coherence and at the same time a high degree of privacy, which means that it always exists from a particular point of view. Feel free to talk, complain, whatever. The experience of consciousness is entirely subjective. Okay, that I could figure out. The paradox, however, is that despite the indubitable reality of our subjectivity and thousands of years of philosophical examination, there is little consensus on what consciousness is. And we walk around with it life after life, 24/7. Right? So science, with its characteristic third-person method, the objective perspective from the outside, has made strikingly little headway in this understanding. And he's going to run through some of the things that are going on with that. And there is, however, growing recognition that the study of consciousness is becoming a most exciting area of scientific investigation. Exciting. At the same time, there's a growing acknowledgement that modern science does not yet possess a fully developed methodology to investigate the phenomenon of consciousness. They're in the business of materiality. Measure this, weigh that, smell this, I don't know. This is not to say that there have been no philosophical theories on the subject, or that there have been no efforts to, quote, explain consciousness in terms of material paradigms. And that's what we do, by the way. We're in the desire realm. Everything is out there, this, that, and all the language and everything else refers to physical things, size, weight, space, time, etc., somewhat physical things. So that's the problem. Maybe we'll figure out how to fit the universe in a single atom. We're working on it. At one extreme was the standpoint of behaviorism, which attempted to define consciousness in terms of the language of external behavior, right? Thus reducing mental phenomena to verbal and bodily action. At the other extreme was what is known as Cartesian dualism. I'm sure you have heard of that 10,000 times. It's on the final, study it. The idea that the world comprises two independent, substantially real things: matter, which is characterized by qualities such as extension, and mind, which is defined in terms of an immaterial substance such as the, quote, spirit. This is Descartes. Between these two extremes, all kinds of theories have been proposed, from functionalism, which attempts to define consciousness in terms of its functions, to neural phenomenology, which attempts to define consciousness in terms of neural correlates. And they make people meditate. Oh, that would be all right, excuse me. Meditate on compassion, and they have fMRI machines that show the part of the brain that tells you to go forward and do something lights up, not the part of the brain that says, oh, I want. No, it's an active thing. Very strange. They've measured meditators who have hundreds of hours of meditation under their monastic belts or whatever. I don't know what they wear. That's our boy Richie in Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin, Richard Davidson's lab. Next door to your hometown. Most of these theories understand consciousness by means of aspects of the material world. But what about the direct observation of consciousness itself? What are its characteristics and how does it function? Does all of life, plants as well as animals, share in it? That's a big argument by the plants have, One Lama said, well, consciousness can enter into immaterial things, be trapped there, into a tree, into even a post. That's one explanation. The jury's still out on this, but
You
that's
said
not.
this last night too, though, but,
Said it last night.
but the thing is,
You were awake? That was you. No.
there's a difference between a post and a tree. A tree is growing.
It's growing, yes, yeah.
And a post, at best, is staying the same, and at worst, is
Right, but we
material.
don't know what manifests as opposed to. You're in another world when you talk to these people.
Mhm. But in terms
But
of.
let's leave that alone, because it's not going to get us out of samsara. That alone,
Okay.
it's a byproduct. Does our conscious life exist only when we are aware of being conscious? So that in dreamless sleep, for example, consciousness may be said to be dormant or even annihilated. No, according to most Buddhist schools, it's not annihilated. It's around, but you're not aware of it. Great yogis can go down deep, 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 to even know what they're doing in dreamless slow. I don't know. That's theories that get banged around. Meanwhile, I'm trying to watch my mouth, and that's the extent of my religious thing. Is consciousness composed of serial moments, one, or mental fluctuation? Or is it continuous but continually changing? Is consciousness a matter of degree? These are a lot of questions. Why doesn't he stop? Does consciousness always need an object? Someone says, yes, it does. Well, maybe not. Conventionally, yes. But on another level, you ever hear of non-dualistic awareness? So subject-object goes away with non-dualism. That's a thing I don't understand, but the arguments are written down, and one day I'll figure it out. Meanwhile, this is something we're always working on, whether we like it or not, because we're walking around with a conscious mind. I hope, especially when you cross the street in New York. What is its relation to the unconscious? Not only the unconscious electrochemical events of the brain that are correlated with mental processes, but also more complex and perhaps problematic unconscious desires, memories, and expectations. Given the highly subjective nature of our experience of consciousness, is a scientific understanding in the sense of an objective third-person account ever possible? I don't think so. What do you think? Could there be a way to watch your personal thing objectively from the outside? They're trying.
Science fiction.
Yeah.
You're saying just being able to see your own life objectively?
Somebody else's. Because it's very private.
Reading your mind.
Reading them, but they probably can see certain impulses going on, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe enlightened beings, but they're not. He's not talking to enlightened beings. They don't need him. They're done.
There's some neuroscience advancements that are very slowly
Yeah.
Especially with dreams, right?
Exactly, that they can.
They track what you're seeing
Exactly.
in your dreams.
Yeah.
And they have a
Down
record
in
laws.
Wisconsin. Remember Wisconsin years
Well, the
ago?
question is, they can.
Dreams are dreams, nothing more than that. He left it at, of course, there's a whole thing of dream yoga. Audience he was speaking to. It's a signal that leave that alone for the side and on the side and get your mind in order so you can understand more of this stuff. And a lot of Buddhism is that way. The preliminaries set you up so that you can flow through these ideas, which normally would be problematic. You know the basic, what is it? Ethics, concentration, wisdom, those three things. The base. So ethics you need, because without ethics, your mind is too scattered to sit and really concentrate. Without concentration, staying on the thing one-pointedly, without any interference on the body or anything, that's how you can understand the theory of emptiness and the reality of emptiness. So those three go in that sequence. So, don't diss the preliminaries. No, it's important. Of course, we just talk. It's only me. There's no lamas here.
So you said at some point that we're walking around with a conscious mind, and I think from my own experience, maybe that's not totally true.
Well, we do drop our awareness and our
Yeah.
attention, but there's still consciousness underneath. When they say conscious, it's a very broad term.
Right, it's not like attention, it's like
No, attention can be
like-
specifically directed.
being here.
Yeah. No, we're here. We have consciousness and we're never going to lose it. That aspect of ourselves is immortal, whether we like it or not.
So the opposite might be unconscious.
Yeah.
And as long as you're standing and walking, then
Yeah.
you're conscious, and if you fall.
Yeah, the words are a problem now because
And because unconscious would be like whether you are cognizant or like
Im-
So you're
cognitive?
or you
Like-
shut down, you're not seeing, no sense input, no hearing, no thing, you know. He's knocked out, he's unconscious.
If you're saying consciousness is like eternal, no.
The Buddha nature
After
is
we're
internal.
gone, consciousness
The
is-
mind goes on
Yeah. So even if we're
The body rots.
unconscious,
or gets
you're not
preserved in whatever.
unconscious, you're still conscious.
Subtle conscious, you're not aware of stuff, and you go, different dissolutions at the time of death.
Yeah.
A yogi can see through that. The normal person doesn't. They black out and then they wake up somewhere else,
Maybe what you're asking is there ever a time when you're truly unconscious? Like even if
Yeah, I
you're
don't-
knocked out,
I don't think there is.
there could be something.
No, without consciousness. The word
Like the
carries
word
that.
unconscious is like a different meaning.
It carries like the boxer got knocked out, he's unconscious, things like that,
It's more of like a medical term than it is an actual.
He drank, fell off the stool in the bar.
It's like a cognitive issue.
We've seen that.
I was more interested in like the different levels of consciousness you can have throughout the day. Like for me personally, only when I started meditating was I able to be conscious of my own
Consciousness.
mind.
Right,
exactly, my own
right.
conscience. Or when you're
Big thing.
doom scrolling or whatever, when
Yeah.
on social media, I feel like my consciousness checks out and I'm just like,
Doom scrolling, I like that.
that's not me.
too.
Yeah, I'm an old timer, so that's new to me. Doom, so no, that's it. Oof.
So I do think that there
So
are,
that's
like,
the-
even within the day, different states of consciousness.
But the moment that you feel, I would say if you were doom scrolling all day,
Looking for recipes with Gustine.
or if you all of a sudden realize I've been doom scrolling for
3 hours.
Yeah,
3
what brings you back?
consciousness. But
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Or
It's also what
awareness.
drifted you
I would
away.
say
Conscious
awareness or
awareness.
mindfulness,
I'm like,
because you're conscious
we're going to
the whole
talk
time.
about that in this section.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a big point.
Right.
And that happens to all of us.
Because if you're saying consciousness is eternal, then surely it doesn't go away when you're doom scrolling.
No, it doesn't. It's there.
It's
Your
still
Buddha
there
nature
whether
is
on
there. Even
Instagram
when
or
you're
not.
nasty and angry and going crazy, Buddha nature's underneath all of that.
It seems like Instagram or something that just puts you to sleep for a little while, but your consciousness is still there. It just kind of lulls you to the point that you're kind of like half alive.
Can't kids use drugs like the rest of us do when we were young? What's the matter with this generation? I got to put a stop
If
to this.
only.
If only. Yeah, I know. For instance, you're meditating, you're supposed to watch your breath. You find out you're thinking about, tomorrow night over here, or what that person said. No, back to the breath. That's a technique you use. It starts to become part of you. You drift away less and less and less the more you practice the one-pointedness of somewhat, of watching, say, the breath or watching the image of the Buddha. That you have to find out by yourself, since it's a private affair. It's a private affair. You got to be on the guest list, I guess. The question of consciousness has attracted a good deal of attention in the long history of Buddhist philosophical thinking. Yes, it has. Too long. For Buddhism, given its primary interest in questions of ethics, spirituality, and overcoming suffering, now there's the point. That's why we all came here. We don't like to suffer. Some of us are altruistic. They're strong enough not to want anybody else to suffer. We like the idea, and we're working on that. But that's the point. We're supposed to, nobody wants to be unhappy. So, understanding consciousness, which is thought to be a defining characteristic of sentience, there's another word, is of great importance. According to the earliest scriptures of the Buddha saw consciousness as playing a key role in determining the course of human happiness and suffering. For example, the famous discourse of the Buddha known as the Dhammapada opens with the statement that mind is primary and pervades all things. Now, what do they mean by mind, consciousness? I don't know. But he's trying to give you a point. Start with the mind. And the simple way to think of it, from our point of view, it's going on. The body ain't. So, and you want a better body, the mind governs through its actions, intentional actions, not so much the physical one, where you go next. So that's Buddhism now. Now we're supposed to be talking out of the religion, so I'll shut up. But is the Dalai Lama a text message? You got that too, Darren? Someone offline? No worry. Before we proceed, it is important to be aware of the problems raised by use of language. Now we're coming to another big issue. Language is dualistic. Automatically.
Say that again?
Language is dualistic.
Okay.
Logic is dualistic. It's useful, but there's something there. And it's representational. It's not the thing itself. And then, of course, everyone reads a word a certain way, so you're not sure, you know. I'm sure a lot of husband and wife arguments start with that, but we won't go there. I'm over with that. In this, it's a lot of the problems are raised by our use of language, especially in describing subjective experience. Despite the universality of the experience of consciousness, the languages in which we articulate our subjective experiences have their roots in disparate cultural, historical, and linguistic backgrounds. These diverse backgrounds represent different cognitive frameworks, conceptual mapping, linguistic practices, or philosophical and spiritual heritage, or heritage if you're British. For example, in Western European language, one speaks of consciousness, the mind, mental phenomena, and awareness. Now you're going to get a language thing here. Similarly, in the context of Buddhist philosophy of mind, one speaks of lo, Tibetan word, which is buddhi in Sanskrit, shepa, jnana, and rigpa, vidya, all of which can be roughly translated as awareness or intelligence. First he gave the Tibetan, then the Sanskrit. See? So in the broadest sense of the term, Buddhist philosophers also speak of sem, or chitta in Sanskrit, mind in English, namshe, vijnana in Sanskrit, consciousness, right? And yi, manas in Sanskrit, mentality and mental states. Darren, if you got anything, let me know. The Tibetan word namshe, or its Sanskrit equivalent, vijnana, which is often translated as consciousness, has a broader range of application than the English term in that it covers not only the whole range of conscious experience, but also those forces that might be recognized as part of the so-called unconscious consciousness according to the modern psychological and psychoanalytic theories. So there they are. It covers that. Subliminal thinking, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, this, before Freud, there were probably others that talked that. I don't know the background. Furthermore, the Tibetan word for mind, which is sem, comes at the realm of thought, but that also that of emotion. It covers thought and emotion. So it's a little shaky ground here. It's hard to communicate. We can speak of the phenomenon of consciousness without excessive confusion, but we need to be heedful of the limitations of our respective linguistic terms. So we'll go on a little more. We got time, right? We're young. Not really. The problem of describing the subjective experience of consciousness is complex indeed, for we risk objectivizing what is essentially an internal set of experiences and excluding the necessary presence of the experiencer. We cannot remove ourselves from the equation. And this is the big point. So what do quantum physicists call the guy doing? They call him the participant, not the experimenter. Because somehow the presence of this guy makes the results different than the presence of that woman or whatever. Strange. Something to think about when you're doing the dishes or calling in an airstrike, whatever you do when you're
We used to talk about that when we did the Lan Rim, the thing about the act of observing something has an impact on what's going on.
Yes.
It's the energy that's
How
put
that
into it.
happens. And now it's the non-religious quantum physicists of seeing this.
Yeah, we talk. I think it's called the Eisenberg.
I know the Heisenberg principle.
Where if you
No, that's something else. That's uncertainty. The uncertainty. I don't know.
there's a principle where they
Yeah, we
use
went through
an
that. I
electron
know. I have to
microscope
go
and
back
it
to the book.
puts the energy in, and it
It goes
causes
this
an
way or
effect.
that way. Yeah.
So
But anyway, what he's saying here, we're stuck being a participant. So the whole scientific idea of standing aside and watching it neutrally as in a court of law or something, you can't do that.
but also
So they say. I don't know.
But also, if you're trying, the paragraph before that, you're trying to use your words, which have a special meaning to you, to explain
Yes,
the
yes.
feeling that you're having, and you're assuming that everybody else uses that word in exactly the same way.
Exactly the same way, right.
And they may not.
And there goes the arguments. Yeah, there goes the... And the confusion. So what do? Use mathematical symbols? So even those are open to interpretation. Yeah, you got a problem.
True.
I don't know. So we just shut up and go home. That's it. I give up. No design. Oh, here's a big quote, and we'll end on this because it's very exciting to talk about. He explains the whole thing now. No scientific description of the neural mechanisms of color discrimination can make one understand what it feels like to perceive, say, the color red.
Can you repeat that, sir?
I'll repeat it a few times. No scientific it comes from, we cannot remove ourselves from the equation. No scientific description of the neural mechanisms of color discrimination can make one understand what it feels like to perceive, say, the color red. Oh yeah, the eye sees this and the cones go this way and that goes this, the whole thing, yeah, but red. I don't know.
And there's not just one red.
Nothing's true, a lot of reds.
There's,
Those of you who wear nail polish, you figured that out. Lipstick, whatever.
or
But
especially
it's-
if you're now that we've reached this age of digital interpretation, like how it presents on a screen, and there are people that's all they do is study the impact of like tweaking that little dot to make it look a different way, warmer, cooler, brighter.
Yeah,
darker.
and then they have in terms of their red is an aggressive color, conquering or whatever, this, that, and the other, or they have assignment. But I don't know if that's cultural or whatever, or you program yourself to, I don't know. But anyway, you can't just talk in mathematical language or just scientific and then totally repeat the experience of, wow, what a red house that is, or something.
One time we were at a
My
restaurant.
face was red.
One time we were at a restaurant.
It was well read.
And on the menu it said enraged penne.
Enraged, arrabbiata. That's penne arrabbiata. It means angry in Italian, arrabbiata. Enraged penne.
And I was just like.
Someone used AI maybe to translate, I don't
a while
know.
ago, but it made us laugh because we were asking, does that mean red? Does that mean angry? Does that mean?
It means angry. Deliberately angry.
So what
That's
is
the
the flavor of angry?
hot,
Oh. Was it red?
well read. Yeah, no, it's the chili pepper on it.
Okay.
Yeah, angry, like
Enraged.
enraged. Yeah.
I just started reading a book called Women, Fire, and Dangerous Things, and it talks about categorizing through language, and they take, I don't remember what language it is, but there's some language where there's one word that means women, fire, and dangerous things.
Really?
And so like what,
Yeah.
exactly.
Take Some that old male
that as
planet,
your
is
word.
that-
Then you have to back up and think what that culture like.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, right.
Italy.
But it is
Mala
really
femina.
amazing. Like I do this exercise actually with my undergrads because I teach communication, and
Yeah.
so I talk to them about like the symbol of a tree, right? So if I say tree, everybody's thinking about something else, and I'm like, well, what about a tree with some lights on it? Now it's a Christmas tree. Now we have all like a slew of different associations.
Context.
Yeah, exactly. And then I said, I asked my, and it's always such a fun experience because people in at least the Seton Hall come from very different backgrounds,
Yeah.
even if most of them are from New Jersey. And I asked, what is a Christmas tree? What's the first association that comes into your mind? And like last year, somebody said popcorn. What?
Well, they put popcorn on trees.
You know what it is, but I've never heard of that tradition.
Popcorn and cranberry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Diwali means lights to a whole section of Jersey population. The Indians, that it's the
Yeah.
festival of light.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we'll end on this because we're supposed to. But this, we can always discuss this.
It's
Whatever
like
you want.
everything that we talk about and everything being dependent on everyone else.
Oh,
It's like our consciousness and the agreement of what something is completely dependent on everyone in the room.
The
seeing
last
your
thought
own
before it,
fraction of it.
your
Well,
whole
the other thing
life.
that's so funny is that we're all actually fairly similar. We all live in the neighborhood.
right now.
Imagine if we brought somebody from a completely different culture, where do we spin things?
So now we return, ladies and gentlemen, beyond religion. You got that on the camera? Back to this. And this is interesting. I see my wife's notes here from years ago.
Aw,
Little things. Yeah.
so sweet.
So
What page are you on?
page 107 we're going to start. And this is where I was talking about attentiveness, harmful and heedfulness and all this. Heedfulness, mindfulness, and awareness. And this is in the ethics section. In other words, how to put your ethical thoughts into practice. Bring it home. Do it. So heedfulness, mindfulness, awareness, 107. Just as a carpenter, this is holiness, by the way, in case you just woke up. This is holiness speaking. Just as a I just woke up, by the way. I'm a recording. I'm Chat GPT robot. Anyway, just as a carpenter would not think of mending a chair without having a chisel, hammer, and saw near at hand, so, well, some of the Jersey contractors you hire come in without their tools. So this is not good. That's a bad example. You haven't lived here. Without the tools near at hand. So too, we require a basic toolkit to help us in our daily effort to live ethically. Now, it's not a magic thing. This is something we do this, that, and the other, and we change our character. This is nice to hear. In Buddhist tradition, this toolkit is described in terms of 3 interrelated factors known as, and these are words he selected, and they have to be, analyzed. Heedfulness, mindfulness, and introspective awareness. Heedfulness, mindfulness, and introspective awareness. These 3 ideas may also be useful in the secular context, you bet. Together they can help us retain our core values in everyday life and guide our day-to-day behavior so that it becomes more in tune with the aim of bringing benefit to self and others. We all want to help others. We all want to, bring ourselves. But we get carried away by what? By our past habit tendencies. So here we are. We have to come to the table with tools. The first of these, heedfulness, refers to adopting an overall stance of caution. That's how he's reading this word. We may have other things, but right now, heedfulness, no, go stand next to the platform. Something like. He's saying adopting an overall stance of caution. The Tibetan term bakyo, or bakye, to pronounce it right, often translated as heedfulness or conscientiousness, carries the sense of being careful and attentive. For example, if we are diagnosed as having diabetes, the doctor will advise us to be very careful with our diet. We must avoid sugar, salt, and fatty foods to keep our blood pressure and insulin in check. The doctor will warn us that if we fail to adhere to this dietary regime, there may be serious consequences for our health. When patients care about their health, they will follow this advice and adopt an attitude of caution regarding their diet. When they are tempted to eat something they should avoid, Baudry's macarons, this attitude or stance of caution will help them exercise restraint. So an example always helps us understand what he means by the word. In one classical Buddhist text, heedfulness is illustrated with the story about a man convicted of a crime who was ordered by the king to carry a bowl of sesame oil, full to the brim, while a guard walks next to him carrying an unsheathed sword. The convict is warned that if he so much as spills a single drop of oil, he will be struck down with the sword. We can imagine how careful and vigilant the convict would be.
So we had a nervous breakdown.
Maybe a bee stings him. Who knows? Disgusting. So he would have complete presence of mind and total attentiveness. Don't get carried away with the narrative. It's an example.
You know, it's funny though, when somebody tells
It's
you
hilarious.
not to do something, you do it, right? Don't spill something.
You spill it, yeah, well, that's us. But I mean, years ago, there were better people, I think. Because some of these stories in the sutras, so-and-so was told this, and he immediately changed. I've been told, and I didn't change. I can't stand that. So, it's the truth, though. How closely, the story illustrates how closely heedfulness is to the qualities of mindfulness and awareness, as described below. So he's going to go through all of that. A quick thing that Rinpoche told us with regard to Tepa and Shizin, mindfulness and awareness. tempo or mindfulness, carrying the tea across the room. Shezin or awareness is noticing that you don't tip this way or that. You make mid-course corrections as you're going so you don't spill it over the floor. That's one way of describing it. This is a little different, but there's this mental gymnastics that you go through. Why do we talk about it? Because we have to now see what's going on in our mind and carrying us towards an impulse to do something stupid. So you're going to fail, of course, when you start. But slowly you fail less and less and less, and it's not that long. It's better than doing nothing. So don't get impatient and mad at yourself or whatever, and go out for the Haagen-Dazs immediately. No. Today there are many secularized techniques for the development of mindfulness, and we have to be careful. That mindfulness is the word thrown around all over the place. There's corporate mindfulness. There's mindfulness in the military. You got to watch it. Come on. That's not what they're talking about here. Somewhat, but not exactly. And these have been shown to be effective in stress reduction and the treatment of depression. You're not taking yourself so seriously when you start applying these techniques. You're sort of standing a little away and not being swept by the waves. Or you realize, I shouldn't be swept over. And you fight back. Funny. It's very... As I understand it, mindfulness in this context usually refers to gaining awareness of our own patterns of behavior. And patterns of behavior, including thoughts and feelings, and learning to let go of these habits, thoughts, and emotions which are unhelpful. So you're your own guru. Who else is it? And you have to be. It's subjective. It's only you. It's there. 10,000 gurus can't do it. So you got to do it. That's why they call Buddha a teacher, not someone who takes your problems and removes them. He's a teacher. I could show you. That's it. Don't bother me. No, he doesn't say that. This seems to be a very worthwhile endeavor. Yes. How we might go about further developing this kind of awareness is a subject to which I will return in Chapter 9. He sets suspense. He wants you tuning in next week. All right. Yet, I'm on page 109, in the context of living ethically on a day-to-day basis, in my view, the most important meaning of mindfulness is recollection, which is what it means, smriti, in Sanskrit. Remembering something you already know. That's mindfulness. In other words, mindfulness is the ability to gather oneself mentally and thereby recall one's core values and motivation. Mindfulness,
Something you already know.
you already know. You are sitting
Meaning
there,
past, or no, you just already know.
you're familiar with the topic.
I see.
You're visualizing the picture of the Buddha. You already made your image of the Buddha like a hologram in front of you, so far away, bright, colorful, goddess Tara, Buddha Tara. Immaterial but radiant and all that. And acting like a regular person and having influence, and you think that way. But you've already prepped yourself for that. She looks like this, she has 7 eyes, over here, So that's something you know. That's what they mean by that. Well, maybe, in other words, you gotta go back to school and know it first. In other words, mindfulness is the ability to gather oneself mentally and thereby recall one's core values and motivation. I'm sounding like the preacher. Recall. So here we're not talking about remembering the visualization. We're here about remembering your program that you decided was worthwhile. But first decide that it's worthwhile. Don't force yourself because remember, that's no good. That's not Buddhism.
Yeah.
As Holiness always says, I don't want to hear yes, yes, yes. I want to hear why. Because when you engage why, you're starting to dig in and do it. So he said that millions of times, I'm sure, in different world systems. But anyway, so that's the idea. So always remember that when they say remembering, you have to remembering something. Recall maybe is a better one. I don't know. Does that sound done? In Tibetan, the word for mindfulness, drempa or tempa. Chinglish pronounce it tempa, but it's drenpa. Drempa, like that. Also means memory. So it has the sub-meaning of memory, I guess. So it suggests bringing presence of mind into everyday activities. With such recollection, we are less likely to indulge our bad habits and more likely to refrain from harmful deeds. Littering, being wasteful, and overindulging oneself are simple examples of behavior which can be improved through the application of mindfulness. Don't forget your recycling bin. But little things like that, it helps. We're in the world, everyone else, so we're it. Awareness or shezin. Now that's the make sure the cup doesn't tilt this way or something, you know. Mid-course correction if you want to be military, I don't know. It means paying attention to our own behavior as you're going on. Now these things have to be brought about by habit, by constant exercise, like you play in
So we're still
ding,
in-
ding, 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 and then ring. Exactly.
Right.
There's nothing unusual.
We're still in mindfulness.
We're still under general ethical mindfulness,
Yes.
a specific mindfulness, ethical mindfulness,
Okay.
not mindfulness in the image of the Buddha or whatever.
Okay.
Ethical mindfulness in everyday life.
Okay.
So that's the title of the chapter.
But we haven't gotten to introspection.
No, that's chapter 9. I think it was in Spain.
Oh, okay.
Introspection is
I thought
Mobutu.
so there's heedfulness, mindfulness, and introspection.
This is no shezin is introspecting. Introspection, and here's the definition:
Okay.
paying attention to our own behavior.
Mhm.
So that's shezin. It means loosely observing our behavior as it is going on. So somebody's standing there monitoring. Don't say that, you idiot. Too late. I made a fool of
Because I am
myself.
having a hard time with the difference between mindfulness and introspection.
Mindfulness is to
both-
be aware of the task, and introspection is as it's going on. Make sure you're aware of the task.
Okay.
You're supposed to carry this across the room to George who needs a cup of tea, and it's top of the. So, oh yeah, George, I got your tea. You grab it, and you're walking towards George. You know,
As
make
you're
sure that
doing it. I see, that's awareness.
that's the
Not managing
introspection.
that,
Yes,
the mindfulness.
paying attention to our own behavior. I mean, honestly observing our behavior as it is going on, as it is going on. It's not setting a plan. It's real time. What do they call that? Real time. Yeah, I guess real time. It's their unreal time. I don't know. The words come. Anyway, paying attention to our own behavior means honestly. He qualifies it. Honestly observing our behavior as it is going on, and that is a technique we have to learn. Because we have our own PR department that has a certain agenda going on. That's all right.
See, but
Well,
I
not
don't
really.
think- But introspection, I don't think that it has to be real time because you can be introspective as you are
You're thinking of sitting at home and thinking.
after you do something really stupid and you go home.
That's a
and you
little
think,
another word. This in this context, it means that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. You review the day.
Yeah.
Your confessional. Or it's internal behavior. It's a little different. It's recall, maybe. I don't know. But here, definitely, our problem is how we act in life.
Okay.
We want to act ethically, and we have to have some skill that's always monitoring what we're saying. I'm sure a prosecutor in court or a lawyer in court's very, very much aware of, oh, they said this, I got quickly. Harris did that nicely in the debate. She's on her toes. He's done for that. I mean, against her. Sad. But that's the kind of mind he brings to the table. No good. She's sharp. But introspection, you'd think it's like reviewing my behavior, and then
Yeah,
along
because
with that is I'll plan to do something next day, and I did. That made me feel lousy. I don't want to do that again. That's
but
something
it's being honest
else.
with yourself.
It is.
But to me, mindfulness is the real time thing. Mindfulness is the
Is
way
the basic task, but how you're carrying out the basic task. That's the way they're saying it. Recalling what, for instance, you're doing one-pointed meditation. You're sitting there, and you have to visualize the Buddha or your breath. We'll say the Buddha because it's more meritorious. And you have to hold that image, and you know what it's all about. You know what it looks like, and then, oh, where is it? I was thinking about this. Bring it back. So that's the
That's real
correction.
time.
That's awareness,
That's awareness. Yes.
right? And the mindfulness is
Mindfulness is
holding.
holding the Buddha, yes, and now holding the Buddha and a spy in the mind, seeing that you're holding it.
Mhm.
So
Right,
it's
right,
a
right.
little dualistic, but not really. We have that ability.
Okay.
Right.
You can sing and play. You can talk on the phone and walk across the street, which you shouldn't have. But anyway, people do it. This is not a big. When
Maybe
we-
a way to think about it, even though I'm not sure I don't have.
We'll go over
This
this
is the
400
first,
times.
time
Oh, this is a
hearing
theme. You're going to
this
hear it.
text, but it's something like doing the task, and then the mindfulness. He said something about recalling your values. So like thinking. Why
Well,
am I
here
doing
it's in
this
the
task?
context of ethics.
Yes, exactly, right? So
Yeah.
we're talking about ethics. I'm bringing you a cup of tea. So being mindful about how I make the tea, thinking I'm ready.
No,
to
that's an
paint.
example of the difference between the two, but here the thing is, I'm not supposed to use, this person's a pain in the neck and I better watch my mouth. And you're talking to the person and then all of a sudden there's an impulse and you stupid. Hold, cool it.
That's awareness.
I think
That's the awareness,
introspection.
what he's calling introspection here.
Introspection/awareness.
The words change in different books. In the Yellow Hat sect, they change in the Enigma sect, they change.
Yeah.
You gotta be aware of the context. And then sometimes if they put the Tibetan or Sanskrit word there, oh, that's what they mean, because you learn that this means that sometimes. So this is an introduction to you, but we're not talking about anything but our ongoing ethical behavior right now. And by watching that, your actions are more meritorious, you have less enemies. At the end of the day, you should be a little less tired over time. Over time on the bottom, you know. That's the problem, because if it was instant, everybody would be outside the door. We'd have to let them in one by one. So much, and charge. You never charge. So, let him go. Maybe he'll explain more. Awareness or shesin in Tibetan means paying attention to our own behavior in this context. It means honestly observing our behavior as it is going on and thereby bringing it under control, but honestly observing. And sometimes you'll find that, wait a minute, that's not what I do it this way, but I'm coloring the situation to my own, what I want to think of myself as. And you sort of, cover up some of your harsher behavior. So don't make it a big deal. Just go on. You're always going to stumble and fall, but just pick up and go. By being aware of our words and actions, we guard ourselves against doing and saying things we will later regret. So that's a benefit in itself. That's payday. When we are angry, for instance, we fail to recognize that our anger is distorting our perception. Write this down. We may say things we do not mean. So having the ability to monitor oneself, having, as it were, a second order level of attention. Now maybe that's clear, a second order of attention. We're doing one thing, but make sure you're doing it. Don't forget. Stay on the beat. Even though you're gloriously running up and down. You're happy solo. It's of great practical use in everyday life, and it gives us greater control of our negative behavior and enables us to remain true to our deeper motives and convictions. When you are angry, what's his name? I forgot that. He lived 100 years too. That psychoanalyst. When we say something, when we are angry at a person, 95% of that is a false projection. And you can prove that if you don't like somebody, everything they do was screwed up. No, that happens, Everything Trump does is disgusting. Well, that's our problem. He might pet his cat. I don't know.
When he eats his cat.
No. He might. I don't know. No, he wants too cheap of a food. He's what is he? I think he's something where. No, he eats meat, but he doesn't drink.
He doesn't eat pets? Oh, okay.
He doesn't
Oh,
drink.
that was a neighbor, sorry.
What neighborhood do you live in? Wait, I'm near you. I'm next door. Wait a minute. Somewhere.
Sorry, I should.
Ekman, is that him? The one, it's like the guy who studied faces over the years.
I'm not sure.
Ekman,
I think so.
Paul Ekman. He lived pretty. He's very close to His Holiness. Karl Popper's another one he always quotes. He's a philosopher, but your anger is your projection, and that's a good way to start realizing how you see the world. So what time is it? Any more comments, complain, discover? Let me see what else he had. Such awareness of our, this great practical use gives us greater control of negative behavior, etc. Enables us to remain true to our deeper motives and convictions. Yes, we have a good plan, we want it, we like it, but we want to carry it out. So that's this part we're talking about. The tactics, not the strategy. Such awareness of our behavior, our actions, thoughts, and words is not something we can learn overnight. There's your disclaimer. I'm sorry. Rather, it develops gradually. As we become more aware, we slowly gain mastery. To some readers, this mental toolkit may sound very much like the advice, listen to your conscience. which is an idea which plays an important role in many religious approaches to the practice of ethics. And indeed, there are many similarities between the two. In some religions, conscience is regarded as a precious gift from God, which makes human beings uniquely moral creatures. From a secular perspective, we may understand conscience as a product of our biological nature as social animals, or as something we acquire from society through our upbringing and environment. Either way, all sane and responsible people will surely agree that this quality is of great significance with respect to our moral sensibility. Whatever one's views about religion, the idea of a person devoid of conscience, without any inner voice of restraint or moral responsibility, is truly frightening. Say no more. Practicing awareness is not quite the same as listening to your conscience, however. In Buddhist ethical theory, there is no idea of the conscience as a distinct mental faculty. But being conscientious is still very important. It is described in terms of two key mental qualities, namely self-respect and consideration of others. Self-respect and consideration of others. The first of these, self-respect, relates to having a sense of personal integrity, a self-image as a person who upholds certain values. Not who's a big star or anything like, no. You know. So when we are tempted to indulge in harmful behavior, our self-image acts as a restraint, as we think, this is unbecoming of me. The second mental quality, consideration of others, pertains to having a healthy regard for others' opinions, especially for their potential disapproval. Together, these two factors give us an added level of caution about doing wrong, which can strengthen our moral compass. So that's His Holiness signing off for the day. Thank you, Dalai Lama. Appreciate it. Some of us are going to go see you in Dharamsala or wherever. Bodh Gaya, I don't know. You going to go over there? Linda's traveling.
I don't know, I'm just trying to get a visa.
We have any names, Darren?
Somebody died, I think there was a pedestrian that was struck by a train on the E-train on the subway in Queens at about 5 o'clock today.
Anything else, Darren?
No other names.
No, the Lord of Death didn't respond?
What?
The Lord of Death hasn't given us a name?
No.
Jane is the Lord of Death. Every day somebody. Jane
I have a
likes that.
question, Tony.
Pardon me?
I have a question. Can you read it on your text?
I can't open it up for some stupid reason. Summit Health cares about my... Oh, they don't. Lying bastard. Yell it out or read it out. Come over here and read it so everybody hears.
It's coming your way, via text.
It's coming from you? Attachment, one image. Oh, this is Jeff. Tara, how's Lori? Introspection is the spy in the mind, yes. That is making sure we are acting in line with what we have told our body, speech, and mind to do. Very good, Jeff. Merci. Mindfulness holds the object or intended way of being. Introspection makes sure we are pulling it off and calls mindfulness up if we are not. Hey. So that's very good. Thank you, Jeff. I like that very much. Is this from Losa Ling? Probably, right? Or from your toolkit. Whatever. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. And I hope Lori feels better. And your dogs are in line. They should have mindfulness. Okay, Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. And there's certainly many places all around the world where people are, taking off from the planet. I prostrate to the Omniscient One, thus to Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, to Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving, big word. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats, who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It's corrupted. It is completely perfect, completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector, who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And now the prayer for a swift return. What happened? Oh, the cat showed up?
She's allergic and he was
Oh, so get out, buddy, get over here.
I'll live.
He's not mindful of what I told him. Anyway, don't forget all these prayers and us coming to class and everything. You mentally just dedicate it towards developing a bodhicitta. So then the merit you get never goes away. You have the same story you've heard 10,000 times. You put a glass of water, eventually it evaporates. You put it in the ocean, it goes on forever. Similarly, dedicating all your stuff for bodhicitta, you've got a good bank account, let me tell you. Prayer for the swift return. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop. Sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Luzang Tubuang Dorje Chang. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast ways of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guest in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the bodhisattvas? though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Lozang Tenpe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karma Yama, and Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors. May you spontaneously fill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So this concludes tonight's presentation. Our next presentation is Saturday at 1 o'clock, right here in South Orange, New Jersey, the parsonage, the White Terrace Sadhana. Everyone is invited. And the next Dharma class will be Tuesday night, 24th, I think, in New York City at the University Settlement for the next 3 weeks, and then we're gone from there after 12 years. So, oof. So, thank you for your patient listening. Big love to all of you.